We are live. Hi, everybody. Hope everyone's well. Welcome to Triple Crown Industry Chat. And I've got down here episode 33, which I can't believe that it's 33 episodes already, but it is apparently. How are you, John?
I'm very good. We're not the triple crown threat, we're the double crown threat.
It's 33
I've got us on there as well. So yeah, we haven't got Jezza. I'm not sure if he's washing his hair or what.
He probably is. I imagine he is, but no, he's not too well today. So hopefully you get better, Jerry. Hope you're back in action very soon. So we're going to chat about a few things, but first of all, John, how's your week been? You've been up to anything unusual or good?
Not a lot really. Just since selling Castledine, I thought it would be all like pina coladas and the beach and stuff like that. And I've never been so bloody busy with Prospector Pro. No, I didn't get that memo.
Keeping you out of trouble.
Yeah. Gives us something to do.
Brilliant. Well, we've got quite a few things to talk about today, and I thought one of the things that I wanted to talk about, which I know John's obviously got a lot of knowledge on as well, is AI. And really, with AI, I wanted to talk about, first of all, the fact that it is still showing how much time and increasing efficiency of agents all the time. We're seeing some amazing things happen, but also I wanted to talk about how a lot of businesses, including estate agents, are struggling actually, using AI or actually learning how to use it. I've got a few stats because we were actually doing some research, John, on AI over the last couple of weeks for our training program and also a couple of talks that we were doing on it. And there were some really interesting things that came out. So first of all, on the efficiency, PricewaterhouseCoopers still saying that it increases efficiency up to 40% with businesses that are using it, which is a huge amount. I think that's a huge stat. But Microsoft UK, they're also saying that organizations that are embracing AI outperform competitors by at least 12%. So there are some stats there to support how it can benefit you. But the stats which I thought were really interesting were relating to small businesses struggling to actually implement tools using AI, but also learn and employ people with AI knowledge of any type. So IBM reported that 1 in 5 organizations report they do not have employees with the right skills in place to use AI or automation tools. And 16% cannot find new hires with skills to address the gap. So I thought that was a good place to start with. Do you think maybe within businesses, it's probably important that agents start really having someone in the business whose responsibility is to look at, possible tools, AI systems, really to get their knowledge on it?
I totally agree. And I read something the other day about the emergence of AI and about everybody's panicking, but you can actually probably look back in history. In fact, you definitely can look back in history. And we've been through the same principle again, the Industrial Revolution. People were riding around on horses, we got the car. Then, computers came involved and all sorts of stuff, the combustion engine, all sorts, the microchip, the internet. It pretty much every 10, 15, 20 years, some great big technology shift, or what was deemed as a technology shift at the time, came in. And if you look at the figures and you look at the stats, there were a huge part of there was a lot of people that were displaced, made unemployed, but it also gave people a chance to upskill themselves into learning AI and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about AI, I was talking to somebody last week, and they were saying, "What am I up to?" It was a friend of a friend, and I was telling them, and he looked at me as if I had two heads because he thought I was doing the coding. And I went, no, it's not like that. So when we talk about you've got to get au fait with AI, it doesn't mean that a 50, 60-year-old estate agent has to get au fait with the coding. They've just got to understand what is, embrace it. And, this is a massive compliment, but you've got the likes of Alan Batt, who I think sold Moses his first hut back in the day. He's actually really good with tech. He wouldn't say so because he's quite a modest and proud man. But I think you've just got to embrace it. And again, it doesn't mean the coding part of it. It just means, how can I develop this new technology and implement it into my business?
Yeah.
If you do that, you'll be fine. But sort of digressing and going back to your point, I think we've got to embrace it. And it's been said a couple of times, AI is not coming for your jobs, but agents who use AI will come for your business type of thing. So yeah, I think you just got to recruit people who are not afraid of it. And even if it's not recruit, just already employ somebody who's not afraid of it and can use it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And I think it's about understanding the opportunities that are out there with a lot of tools which are out there now. Obviously, you're involved with one great one, and but there are a lot of tools out there which I just think a lot of people aren't aware of, which can really save time. Save time is one angle and efficiency, but also there's the customer service side as well, which I think is a huge angle where someone in the business should be looking at their estate agency and looking at all the places where perhaps AI can improve the customer service or efficiency levels that customer might get. Not replacing people with AI, but sort of the speed of doing things. But go on, John.
Sorry, I was going to say, funny enough. I mean, you said what have I been up to this week, and one of the things we've been sort of talking about, Adam, my co-founder, and I, is a weighting system to be able to measure a call. Now, it really sort of hits your point on the head, where we're not replacing the team members. We're not saying, right, no more sales negotiators, managers, let negs, customer service department. But what it's doing is, and I think we've said this before, our mantra is we want to enhance human performance, not replace it. So we want to give people the tools, and AI is brilliant for that, giving you the tools of how we're currently operating. Because in our businesses, something called a say-do gap. What we say we do and what we actually do are never the same. We always overemphasize things. It's a bit. Have you heard of something called the Dunning-Kruger effect? People, it's like a cognitive bias. People think they're a lot better than something what they actually are. When I owned my business, I thought we were awesome, we were good. We probably weren't as good as what I thought we were. I thought, some of my team members are absolutely brilliant, probably weren't as good as what they thought. I thought I was awesome. You sort of get the picture of it. Well, what AI can do is categorically and carte blanche, so you're not picking small sample sizes. It's literally go through all your work, and you're talking emails, Zoom calls, telephone calls, which we do, and be able to score the call. So instead of listening to, I think some of the teams already, I think we're over 1,000 calls have been made using Prospector Pro yesterday and today. So it's a huge number. You imagine how you can search through 1,000 calls to listen to something that was said and what should have been said that wasn't, and what was said that shouldn't have been said. AI can do that in a split second.
Yeah, that data and AI is just one huge benefit. And I think I've already heard about things being created in Australia and America, where they are really looking at using agents' data to look for opportunities and look at what's going on in their local area as well, with the house sales and price and everything, and seeing opportunities. So yeah, definitely not to replace people, but to benefit from that. Do you think sort of we might see things like in the future AI officers in sort of businesses where that is their sort of duty to make sure that perhaps not only they're looking at what would benefit the company, but also there's the angle of making sure you don't step out of, into the wrong. There's obviously a lot of things that is not controlled by AI, and really there's probably someone that needs to be making sure that if staff are using AI, that there are rules set there.
Yeah, well, legislation is coming. There's already the EU AI Act, and we're not going to be too far behind the British legislation, and it goes on like on the various risk profiles. And there's a bit of guidance. Funny enough, this was only back end of last week. This got brought to my attention, so it's because I live a life of rock and roll. This is what I spent Saturday and Sunday morning before the kids and Gemma got up, researching EU AI Act and reading into it. But you're right, and there should be, because it is quite scary about what it can do. And once that comes in, I think will be a lot of level playing field, and it will tell us what we're allowed to do and what we can't do. Somebody said with Prospector Pro, you're not worried about you getting a bit hamstrung. And I said, look, if the AI Act is brought in, right, and you're talking about it's banning guns, just bear with us. We're literally a pea shooter. That's what our AI will do in the grand scheme of things. What AI is going to get controlled is like, it doesn't want that Cambridge Analytica.
Mm.
It doesn't want appointment setters phoning up grannies and Uncle Timmy's and saying, "Hi, it's your grandson, little Johnny. I've got new bank details. Can you send us £50 to this?" And just so grandparents and old people are getting ripped off. That's what it's out to do. It's not like the likes of what you do for your clients and what we do for ours. It's not trying to like stop us doing that.
Yeah. I also think there needs to be, it needs to be looked after carefully, even within businesses, because there's going to be a lot of people who are just going to be using it within the business, and there's no control. Mistakes can be made. It's interesting. Some of the data that I have seen as well is that most businesses at the moment, small businesses who are using it, obviously they're using it for those small daily tasks, but also customer service is a huge percentage of where it's being used. I think Microsoft said that was one of the biggest areas that it's being used at the moment. So we have seen a lot of appointment setters out there. So if anyone watching is wondering, what is around the corner, well, it is there already, as John said, appointment setters, where AI is literally diving in as soon as a lead comes in or a conversation comes into a business. And there are controls, and if it's done correctly, there are ways to control where that conversation goes and doesn't, step over. But not everyone is obviously doing that. So some really great things. We had some success with AI, in our business. We're using it to save hours to create different ad copy, images, videos. Images, we've spoken about this before, has been a bit of a sort of a challenge. But some of the stuff that I'm seeing, something we're using at the moment called Mid-Journey, if any of you are used to AI image tools, the human images being created by software like that is amazing. You can't tell the difference. And these are...
It's not that cartoony, we've seen them where it looks as though it was made in Poland with the spelling and stuff.
7 fingers. But yeah, it's moving so quickly. And as I say, the images that we've seen created are so realistic in a way that they're not real people. It hasn't pulled anyone real in, but it's made these people. And you can ask, for example, a baby boomer in Manchester standing outside their bungalow celebrating the sale of their property, and it will create someone, in front of a property in Manchester who looks exactly that age. So frightening where it's going. And then elsewhere, we've seen agents have great success. We had Michelle Gallagher who was using Facebook adverts, and she was having to spend a lot of time updating them. And we introduced her to an AI tool that would update her adverts for her, putting the latest properties into her adverts. And she's saving 6 to 8 hours every few weeks now. And she's using that time elsewhere. And she's also seen a cost has reduced by about 3-4 times on the ads as well. So there's some great results out there. And we've got a long list. So if anyone's watching and they do want a list of ways you can use AI, or we're seeing agents use it, just drop me a message and I'll make sure you get that, because we're building up a long list there of how agents are using it on that. Okay, so that moves nicely onto social media. And I was speaking to quite a few agents the other week about social media and how they're probably using it wrongly, and still not getting the most out of it, because what most agents are doing is pretty much consuming and just posting. So consuming and posting on a regular basis, which sounds like it's all we need to do, but really you've got to remember how these platforms are built. They're all built on engagement, but also there's a different angle here, John, isn't there? With regards to the type of content you need to be putting out. I know we were chatting about this before we came online, the type of content that should be put out.
Yeah, so it's funny actually that we both came to the same conclusion, but we just went about it the different way. You went round that way, I went round that way, but in actual fact the answers were the same. So I'm very much a science, structure, routine sort of a guy. You're very creative. And, I like reading my book, back things up with data and science. And a guy called Robert Cialdini, who wrote The Laws of Influence. So he was a visiting Stanford professor. I think he was at MIT back in the 80s and 90s. Very, very well thought of in the laws of influence. Like he's a very famous psychologist. I always get them two mixed up. Anyway, he came up with six laws of influence. So when I post anything on social media, I try and make sure that my posts hit at least 2, ideally 3 of his ideas. Now, a couple of them are dead easy, right? So the first one is likability. Just don't come across as a bit of a dick, right? So don't pick a divisive topic, politics, religion, race, anything like that. Stay well clear of it. Don't put your personal opinions on a lot of stuff. You keep it to yourself. Keep that for the pub. Keep that for your mates. Then you find it quite hard to dislike somebody who's not strongly opinion. That doesn't mean be yourself. All that just means is just because you've got freedom of choice, freedom of you can say what you want, doesn't mean you have to exercise that right. So likability is one thing. Consistency and/or commitment, exactly that. You preach about this all the time. You've got to keep doing it. You can't just put one post up and expect the business to come in. Reciprocity, giving help, giving advice, giving the guides that Jerry writes, giving the online valuation stuff that you do, giving something with no expectation in return. So it's reciprocity. Scarcity and urgency. Again, that's like, this house won't be along for long. We've got 10 seats. We've got this, we've got that, whatever it is, because that forces people to make a decision. We're doing for Prospect the Pro. We've got a launch price of all of March, special price. Again, it's a pure sales tactic that in April the price goes up. And then the two big ones are authority and social proof. So this is where social proof is talking about videos and testimonials and also showing properties that you've sold quick. So I know me and Chris Watkin have a bit of banter about this, but it is things like showing an example of where you've sold a house really quick. But it's not just sold house in 2 days, sold house in 2 days and then sell with a story. Yeah. And then the last thing is the authority, and this is where me and Chris do disagree on. Actually, I think he's mellowed a bit and he has come around to it. Pie charts. They do work. That is not an opinion. That is an absolute fact. They do work if they're done in the right context. So yeah, it's if you follow those principles of authority, social proof, likability, consistency, scarcity, and reciprocity, and make sure every time you post, you hit at least 2, possibly 3 things. You should do all right with your posting, and you will get a lot more engagement.
No, that is exactly the sort of content that we try and include and guide our clients on as well. The other angle, which as well as getting the content right, I think the other angle which often we forget about is how the algorithm of those platforms actually work, and I can sort of guide you a little bit on that. If anyone watching to give you an idea of exactly, these platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they're all built on engagement, the social media platforms engagement. And the way it's working out who to show your content to is who's engaging with you. So if you're just consuming and posting, you're not actually engaging with anyone, and the chances of people engaging with you is very low. So we're talking about, messaging people, connecting people, clicking on posts, watching videos. But one of the biggest one is connecting and messaging. And I'm not saying that you should go out and spam people with messages, but what you should be doing is, commenting on your followers. If people are following you on Instagram or on Facebook, they've actually made the effort to follow you. You should be engaging with them on a regular basis, because if you don't, then they'll fall off the social media platform's radar that you two are really sort of engaged and connecting. So I think we often overlook that. We're always looking for the new follower or the new page fan or numbers on our posts, but really we need to step back and engage with people that are taking time to follow. But also there's the process, first of all, to connect with people, first of all. And that sometimes isn't just about just posting property or educational tips. There are bits of content which allow people to relate to you. And I think in a people's industry, that's very much overlooked as well. So sometimes that can be the really uncomfortable stuff about, what you actually like doing. If you do things locally, outside of business, maybe sports that you're involved with, or maybe it's, the highs and lows the job. Maybe you celebrate something that you've done well, but maybe there's something that went wrong. Just sharing a little bit more about who you are and a little bit behind the screen as such. And that allows people to relate with you first of all, build a relationship. Then you can obviously look at the business side. So I think that's an important angle. We actually often, I don't know if it's something you do, John, but we actually follow a little bit of a process each week. I think the process is called 5-5-5. I think people call this in all different things, but literally what it is, it's connecting with 5 new people, and people that are important, not just anyone, but people that are important. For agents, this can be done by looking at local sort of accounts, posts. There's all different ways to do it, but connecting with 5 new people, engaging with 5 people that currently follow you or your page or Instagram account. So actually engaging with those people, and then trying to message 5 people as well. But again, not on a business level, just on a way that you're showing interest in them, and that helps the algorithm as well. That's just another idea there as well on that.
Good, makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, loads of good ideas there. Anything else that we were missing there?
I think it's about the data as well. I mean, which we all know, and we were chatting earlier on about using data when you prospect. So we're using data for social media, absolutely integral, but also, I mean, I sent out a newsletter and I got it last week of a phrase, and it basically said, business is 90% maths, 10% science. And I love that phrase. And it's like, if you look at the equations, the formulas, the numbers, the figures, the data, the insights, and you act on it, then it's 90% maths. It's just follow the maths. It's like data leaves clues. If you're performing well in a certain area, the percentages, the metrics will show that. If you're not, it'll show that, so you can do something with it. And I'll just share with Prospector Pro now. We've been going with our beta testers and some live clients for a couple of months now, and we've got several thousands of calls going through. Thousands. I think I was saying we've got just under 1,000 calls going through since yesterday across the board. And here's some of the golden nuggets of information. More calls are made when an entire team makes the calls. Sounds obvious, but when you get a team of 4 people say making an hour of calls per day, it's up to 30% more calls than one person prospecting for 4 hours straight a day, which I find interesting. So if you've got one person doing it, getting your team to do it for 4 people doing it an hour a day is up to 30% better than getting one person doing it. And the way I can do it, it's a case of, it's like a running relay. Getting somebody to run the 400 meters in a 1-hour is not as quick as getting somebody to do 100 meters, someone else 100 meters, someone else, because you naturally tire throughout the day. There's a really good book called The Secret Barrister. It's about the legal profession, but in it they talk about how if you get done for the same crime, you're more likely to get a harsher sentence towards the end of the day than if you were sentenced at the beginning of the day, because people get tired, ratty, hungry, call it what you want. So if you're going to get, so you're going for doing a 33 and a 30 at the beginning of the day, you get a slap on the wrist, you get the guillotine by 4 o'clock. So just make sure that if you're going to get sentenced for whatever, you get a 9 o'clock hearing. So that's interesting. 90% of businesses make fewer calls on a Friday. Maybe they're winding down for the weekend. However, that means less competition. I would specifically be calling on a Friday. Most calls are made in the morning before lunch. The most successful callings are made in the morning when you pro-rata it. And the big one, the agencies, based on all the branches we've got on, that are the most consistent and never miss a day of prospecting, get by far the best results. So there's no surprises.
Yeah, it's consistent.
Yeah, but again, this is using data to give you the very best results. It's like, it's not just saying, I've got to spare 20 minutes towards the end of the day. It's the first thing that goes into your diary should be business generation, and then everything else goes around it.
And that's the same old problem, isn't it, with the industry, is that as soon as it gets busy and business is coming to you, it falls off, doesn't it? It's always the case.
Totally, but this is the time now, because the funny thing about our industry, mate, is it's cyclical. We know this. It's seasonal. It
Yeah,
happens. A lot of agents have had a really good end of January, February, really good, and I'm starting to hear that, look, we're getting a lot of activity, but it's not translating to sales. So
yeah,
people are now saying what's going on, and we're saying, well, should be picking up the phone. You should have been picking up the phone Christmas, but
mm,
the next best time is now.
mm,
So yeah, it's like you say, when things go well, it's the last thing that gets done. Oh, we don't need business. We've got enough anyway.
mm. And I presume as more and more data and say more and more consistent agents are, the more gold nuggets like that you're able to create, really, isn't it? Over time,
Yeah.
there's going to be different data for different offices and locations, I imagine, as well.
Well, we've just got the graphics through for what we're calling the advanced reporting, which means you can compare user versus user, branch versus branch, and you can therefore see, right, well, in certain branch, what is the optimum average call duration? What is the average talk to listen ratio? What is the optimum number of questions we should ask? So we can get all this data and we can give the information that, the best chance of you getting a success on average is to have a 5-minute conversation, is to ask at least 3 questions. And these are the 3 questions you should be asking on average. So again, it's not saying you have to follow this militant routine structure, but if you have that as a baseline and you follow it and you allow the conversation to go wherever, the more successful call is X. You can't fall off. You can't do much wrong by having X as a conversation. And then you just so yeah, you're right. The more and more data we have, the more and more we'll be able to give this information to say, this is on. It's a bit like an avatar. We spoke about your ICPs, and Facebook looks for the average of the people that you most contact. We are having you've got the perfect avatar, and it shows it in front of people who are similar. We've got the perfect length talk to listen ratio of a call, and that's what you should follow if you want the best chance of being successful.
And am I right in saying, because I'm sure you mentioned this before, which I think is just a simple thing, but really amazing, simple thing, is that over time, AI will start telling you who you should call first on the list with regards to the order.
Yeah. So what we do now is we've got an order, like an algorithm, where it will tell you who you should call first, and it's just based on common sense things, such as if you valued a house in the last couple of months and hasn't made a decision,
Yeah.
compared to somebody 10 years ago. The next version, or one of the versions in the distant future, is we're going to allow the agent to choose what order, and it's going to be very, very simple process. It doesn't sound too difficult, but where you can take this is you could go propensity to sell, and you can 20 CI, you've got something similar, and there's other companies that can say, all right, well, how long you've been there, what you paid for the property, have you remortgaged it, how many kids you've got, how old are your kids, have they gone up, have they left, how old are you compared to the average age, as in, like, if your friends left, so therefore you might be likely to sell your property. There's something like 250 data sets of propensity to sell, which is the likelihood you are to sell. And some people say it's not very accurate, but it's more accurate than it's not accurate, if that makes sense. So if you've got these people's data, I mean, we can't do this currently. This is definitely one for the near future, but it could say, right, you've got these 20 people in your database based on propensity to sell. They are probably going to sell in the next year. So these are the people I would be calling at least on a monthly basis, just putting yourself in front of them, linking in with you, put Facebook, put Instagram adverts. So you're getting a monthly call, you're getting every couple of days you're on Facebook, you're seeing, Paul Long estate agents, more likely to choose you.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. And I think I was just trying to think what I'm seeing at the moment with the AI tools that I'm using on a daily basis. One thing it does really well is it is predicting, next time I use it, it's predicting what I want to see, and what I'm doing. It's looking at the data, and it's just getting those. It surprises me how it gets it right. If I'm going about to something on the platform, even Facebook has it, it's already sort of done it for me. And I'm thinking, well, how did it know that? But it's just, it is looking for those regular sort of consistency and also, helping you.
It is. It's crazy. It is. it sounds really scientific. It sounds really Star Trekky and stuff like that, but it's not. It's just, this is the new norm. We're ahead of the curve a little bit about where we should be.
Yeah.
But given a year, 18 months, 2 years, this is, every agent will have access to this sort of stuff. And, you know, you have to get on board. It is here. It's going to get better, not worse. It's going to get better in terms of the tools out there. If you keep procrastinating, putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, your competitors are going to pick it up, and your competitors are going to, you know, really steal some market share and steal a march.
Yeah.
So I don't know a single agent, Paul, who's very good in their area who was not doing Facebook ads. I don't. But 4 or 5 years ago, if you'd have said, "Oh, that newfangled Facebook, you know, that their Facebook that Zuckerberg's got," everyone's like, "No, we don't want to use it." But since COVID, I don't know a single agency who's not big on social media in terms of using ads that you do, or they've got a very good look at location. You know, and Vicky and Assad and Megan, phenomenal. Michelle, phenomenal. You've got some really, really good agents there. The Paramount guys, you know, some really good agents using social media. AI is that next level.
Well, I totally agree with that, and I think one of the things it's perhaps gone from the agent who gets seen the most is going to win, which is where I think it is now. I think obviously there's a mixture of a service there as well, but I do strongly believe now that even if you're the best agent with regards to service, it doesn't always win now with the way that people can just get blown away with seeing you all the time with certain tools for brand awareness and advertising. But I think now it's also going to move from the agent who gets seen the most. It's also going to be the agent that's the most efficient and fastest is also going to be the winner, you know, because people want that quick service. They want things to be efficient. And if that AI improves the customer service, it's only going to help that agent.
Oh, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And it's all these little aspects of the customer experience. Marketing is massive. Marketing is huge because that's what we're attracted to. We're attracted to things we can see. And it's in speed of service, speed of response, and the response and the speed that you get, top-notch quality stuff. It's the experience, isn't it?
Totally experience. Right. On that note, I think that's a good place to stop. Everyone's getting worried there. So thanks, everyone. Thanks, John. And Jerry, I hope you get well soon. And we'll catch up with you all very soon. Thanks, everyone.